South America is once again becoming a battlefield not of armies, but of influence, sanctions, and strategy. The United States is stepping up pressure across the Western Hemisphere, from Venezuela to Cuba to Mexico. Washington is sending a clear message: no rival powers in our backyard. This is the revival of an old doctrine, with new consequences. In 1823, US President James Monroe declared that the Americas were off-limits to European colonization. On the surface, it sounded anti-imperial, but in reality, it became a tool for US dominance. Over 2 centuries, Washington used this doctrine to justify political interference, regime change, military interventions, and economic pressure. From Chile to Nicaragua to Panama, the message was consistent: you may be sovereign, but you must align with Washington. Today, a modern version of this thinking is returning. Venezuela sits on one of the largest oil reserves in the world. For years, the US has imposed heavy sanctions, arguing that the government is authoritarian. But behind the politics lies a strategic reality. If Venezuela aligns with Russia, China, or Iran, Washington loses control over energy, influence, and security in the region. That is why the US keeps pressure high through sanctions, diplomatic isolation, military patrols in the Caribbean, and support for opposition forces. To Washington, Venezuela is not just a country, it is a test case of power. Cuba has been under US sanctions for over 60 years. Recently, Washington has again tightened rhetoric against Havana, accusing it of supporting hostile governments and opposing democracy. The threats include continued economic embargo, restrictions on trade and travel, and diplomatic pressure through international institutions. For Cuba, this means economic hardship. For the US, it is about preventing Cuban alignment with Russia or China. The signal is clear: small countries cannot challenge US influence in the hemisphere. Mexico is not a dictatorship like Cuba, but it still faces US pressure. Washington has warned Mexico over drug cartels, migration, national security, and foreign investment from China. Some US politicians have even suggested military action against cartels inside Mexico, a move Mexico strongly rejects as a violation of sovereignty. So the tension is simple. Mexico wants independence. The US wants control. This creates a fragile relationship between two neighbors who cannot afford conflict but also cannot fully trust each other. Now, how will Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia react? Brazil, the biggest power in South America, is likely to take a cautious but firm stance. Brazil does not want US military dominance in the region. Brazil wants strategic independence. Brazil is strengthening ties with BRICS and China. So Brazil will probably avoid openly confronting the US, but resist becoming a US satellite state and seek more regional cooperation through Mercosur and BRICS. Argentina and Colombia may lean more toward Washington, but even they do not want full US control. The message across South America is this: we want investment, not domination. This is not about democracy or ideology. It is about power, resources, and influence. The US fears losing its grip over the Western Hemisphere, especially to China and Russia. South American countries fear losing their sovereignty, and in between, ordinary people suffer through sanctions, instability, and economic pressure. So, as the US revives the spirit of the Monroe Doctrine, South America faces a choice: submit to American power or fight for true independence.